everyone, welcome to Candid Headlines. My name is Ariane, and today we are going to have episode 2 of our How to Speak Better series. Episode 1 is all about enunciation, and if you haven't seen that video yet, I highly suggest that you check that out. I'm going to put the link in the description box below. Now in this episode, we are going to talk about the different elements of sound. So these are the things that you can tweak in order to improve your speaking abilities and in order to change the way your message is sent and received. We have to remember that when we're talking about speech or speaking, we are actually dealing with sound. So right now, what you're hearing are sound waves that are coming from my body. It's produced by my diaphragm, my lungs, my throat, my vocal cords, my nose, my mouth, my body in general. It has parts that are vibrating inside, which are then producing sound waves, which are now being picked up by my microphone and sent to your ears. So now let's jump into the first element that we're talking about. First up is volume. So if you want to speak better, you have to take note that volume, or the loudness or the softness of your voice or of the sound that you're producing, greatly affects the message that you are sending. If you want to speak in a gentler manner or in a sweeter way or in a more calming voice, then it's necessary to lower your sound. Or for example, when you're speaking to a baby that you want to put to sleep, you can speak in soft sounds like, "Hi baby, go to sleep now." Or when you are talking to someone and you want to ease the blow of whatever it is that you're saying, you can say, "Yes, I'm sorry, but you're fired." So that sort of softens the blow, right? In the same way, when you say "I love you" to a person, if you want to be sweet about it, you say it in a calm, soft way, as opposed to shouting it out, "I love you!" Well, of course, that's except if you want to really proclaim it to the whole wide world. So the loudness or the softness of the volume of your voice really affects the message that you are sending. When you are doing a speech in front of people, you can alter the levels of your sound in order to emphasize some points by increasing your volume or by suddenly lowering your volume and making it softer. So that's number 1, volume. Next up, let's talk about pitch. When we're talking about pitch, we're actually talking about the highness or the lowness of the sound that we're producing. There's such a thing as high pitch, mid-tone, mid-pitch, or a lower pitch. So for example, this is the lower pitch of my voice. And this is the middle one, my normal, casual, conversational one. And then this is the high-pitch one, or "Oh, this is the high-pitched one. This is a high-pitched tone of my voice." Now, depending on who you're talking to, you can change the pitch of your voice. So again, if we're talking to a baby, you'll probably be using, "Oh, high-pitch," because it's soft and soothing to the ears and not so threatening. For high-pitched ones, it's often produced by the nose and your palates, and it's more nasal. Or if you're just talking to a coworker or a friend, then usually we're just using our conversational voice, so it's usually produced from here, from the middle parts of our voice instrument. So this is the mid-tone. Usually this is the one that vibrates. And then if you are talking to, let's say, your employees, then you want to sound authoritative, powerful, and strong. So you probably want to use your lower register or the lower pitch of your voice. So as you can see, changing your pitch will greatly alter the emotion that you are sending, and it will also change the emotion of the person that you are talking to. Lower pitches or lower registers of voice are often used in order to exude an air of authority or strength or dependability or sturdiness and all of those things. Because if you think about it, in nature, most of the big people or big creatures like lions or all the bigger animals produce deeper sounds. So I think that's the relationship with that. So if we hear a bigger, more rounded sound, then we are programmed to think that, this person is credible or strong. And in the same way, I think that's the reason why news anchors use their lower registers whenever they're talking about the evening news, because they have to sound more credible and authoritative. Next, let's talk about rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. When we are speaking, it's all about sound, and it's about sound waves moving in time. So when we say rhythm, we are talking about the speed and the cadence of your voice or your speech, and we're talking about the way that it moves and how quickly it moves. Other words that are connected with rhythm when it comes to speech are the words intonation or cadence and prosody, or the melody of how you say your words. For example, think of a teacher or a professor in school that's very boring to you. A class that you attend that always puts you to sleep at the end of it. Let's say you have a teacher that says the lesson this way. Matter is anything that occupies space and has weight. There are 4 states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas, and plasma. There's this rhythm that keeps on repeating itself, and actually if you hear that rhythm again and again and again, it's what we call monotonous, and it becomes really boring and at times very sleepy. So if you want to be an engaging speaker, you have to play with your rhythm. So for example, if you are excited and you want to exude energy, you can speak faster and emphasize some words, or you can suddenly slow down and change the words that you are emphasizing in order to capture one's attention. So if you want to keep your audience engaged and hanging by your every word, you have to surprise them, and you have to keep it fun and interesting for them. Don't use the same rhythm again, and again. Okay? Lastly, let's talk about tone. Actually, tone, pitch, melody, these are things that are often interchanged or used interchangeably, but usually, based on research, when we talk about tone, it's that quality of your voice or your speech that really connotes or shares your emotion, or has that underlying emotion that you are trying to express. That's why some parents say, I don't like the tone of your voice. So for the sake of this video, let's just say the tone is the combination of all of those things that I've mentioned earlier. So with the pitch, the rhythm, the cadence, the intonation, and the melody of how you say your words or your sentences, how you combine them will determine the overall tone of what you're saying. There's so much emotion that can be gotten just by the tone of your voice. This is why a lot of couples argue a lot when they're just chatting or texting, because you cannot read the tone of the voice of the person that's chatting with you. So for example, that person may be joking or being sarcastic, but since you're just reading it, you'll think that, it's really serious? Is you really trying to degrade me? And what an outrage! Playing with the tone of your voice and all of the elements that I've discussed earlier will really show and help to express the message that you want to say. For example, you can say I love you in so many different ways. I love you. 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 Of course, my face was expressing my emotions as well, but you get the gist. There's so many different ways that you can say a specific sentence just by altering the different elements of sound, like the tone, the pitch, the register of your voice, the speed, the cadence, the melody, and all of those things. So if you want to become a better speaker, a better communicator, and if you want people to understand you better, and also if you want to avoid conflict with other people, you have to be able to play with all the different elements of sound. Disclaimer, don't use my definitions here as gospel truth. Do your own research because, again, all of these terms are often used interchangeably. But my point is, you have to be able to determine all of these different elements that you can play around with. Here's another example. Whenever I do voiceover work for radio and TV commercials, often they'll show me the script and then I need to be able to deliver certain lines in many different ways without them having to direct me. So, for example, let's take the line, "This is the brand you can trust." That sentence. So let's try saying that in many different ways while playing with the tone, the intonation, the emphasis, the speed, and all of those things. This is the brand that you can trust. 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 This is the brand 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 that you can trust. This is the brand that you can trust. This is the brand that you can trust. So there. In the same way, you need to be able to be creative when you are delivering a speech, a report, or a public presentation to your clients, to your boss, to your office mates, to your family, to your loved one, and to your friends, especially in school. Being able to play with these different elements will really make or break you. Woo! That's a lot of stuff to take in, but hopefully you were able to find something that you can work with and apply to your own daily lives. At the end of the day, if you want to speak better, the goal is to be able to express yourself clearly and be able to deliver that message exactly how you intend it to be. And also for the person or people that you are talking to be able to fully absorb all of the information that you've mentioned, not just the facts and the data, as well as the underlying emotions and the other messages that you are trying to send just with your voice. And that wraps up this video. If you found it helpful or informative, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment in the comment section, or share it with your friends. And again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye!
I'm your fault.
So, see, the blah, blah.